So the Will Rose Apartments was a project that started back 90 years ago, I think, when my grandfather and grandma's the property that Will Rose is on back in the 30s. And they moved to their farm from Greendale to Muskego. And on that farm, they grew Guernsey cows, and they grew corn and apples and sweet corn. And over the years, this property, this 10.5 acres, really became not as productive, yet we wanted to continue to grow things on it. And so we really looked at growing things like families. And so the building is it's a two-phase project, 96 units. And in those 96 units, it's very modern. We want it to be unique here in Muskego and really upgrade the property features to bring in the appropriate clientele and really make it a nice homey experience. We also wanted it to be a really unique property for the outside as well. And I think partnering with not only Altius to build the property, but also to partner with AG Architectures to design it was a great team. Yeah, so the Will Rose Apartments was really an establishment that was developed back in the early 30s by my grandparents. And grandparents were named actually Will and Rose. And that established, we thought, a nice legacy to the farm and the property and really the long time that the Bossy family's been in Muskego. This establishment or the farm's been in Muskego for over 90 years. They moved here in the 30s and at that time grew corn and Guernseys and cows and apples and sweet corn. And now we think it's really unique and a living legacy to grow families. And so we're real proud about the properties built by the Altius company and designed by AG Architects to be able to bring homes to people here at Will Rose Apartments.
Well, I believe that what happened is that Gloria and myself went out on a mission to search out both architects together with general contractors. And my background is that I've been a developer here in the Milwaukee metropolitan area for over 40 years and had a lot of contacts. And I had been hearing about general contractors and architects. And so we interviewed and spent considerable amount of time doing background, looking at projects, and we arrived at several GCs together with several architects, and felt that Altius was, not to speak for you, Gloria, but worthy of taking a multi-million-dollar risk.
Absolutely.
And so it was a process that took many months, perhaps a year, and so that's essentially how we landed on Altius, and it's been a great experience ever since.
Yeah, the value that Altius brought to us in the Will Rose project, I thought was, I'd say 3 big points. So the biggest point was quality. And the building materials, the focus on the details to make sure that as the sticks and the bricks went up, that we certainly had a product that was meeting our goals. And one of those major goals was to have a property that was low maintenance and that it lasted for a long time. And so this is a property that's planned to remain within our family. And so we wanted to make sure that we linked up with a great group, which I believe that we did, and very happy and pleased with the results of the project. The second thing was trust, and that was huge for me, and for 2 reasons. One, I've never done a project like this before. So this was really, and Bill, you've done some residential work, but this was your first multifamily project. So we were kind of newbies on this, and we needed someone that we could trust and someone that had good experience. And then on top of that, I don't live here. I live about 5 states away, or 600, 700 miles away. And so most of the conversations were either Zoom meetings or on the phone. And then the third thing was really the fact that as we interviewed these companies, it was what I saw as a real team effort and professionals that listened. So they listened to the needs of the owner and Bill and I, and were able to work to achieve those goals and to even exceed them. Key things with working, I think, with any company or firm or supplier is to be able to have the confidence and collaboration, but you also have to be able to be reachable, right? So accessibility, I give Altius extremely high marks. It was when I called, and I think Bill, either whether it was text, emails, phones, it was within hours, sometimes minutes, but it was much quicker than most. And that was always appreciated and a part of the team.
You know, we were in the middle of construction, in the middle of a global pandemic, and COVID was really responsible for several construction hiccups that Altius quickly responded to. None the least of which was quartz countertops that were staged to arrive in the United States from China, and the entire shipping industry was shut down. And I recall that we got that phone call, I think, on Friday, and on Monday by noon, 2 o'clock, had to make an expensive, but yet another decision to source those from Italy, essentially. And that was as a result of Altius just simply moving quickly and avoiding any kind of construction delay. We had a very similar situation with regard to cabinets. The cabinet making shop was shut down in Pennsylvania. Can't do any occupancy permits without countertops, much less the cabinets to set them on. And again, very quick moves through Altius together with their sourcing. They were able to make decisions quickly, and as a result, delivered a product on time. That was significant and difficult for them, I'm sure.
Yeah, so now that phase one is completed, I have to say that I'm extremely happy with the process. Focus on the timeline and delivery, and like Bill just said, delivery on time, even with some hiccups that were experienced along the way. And I think that we were always watchful for this is what we plan to do, and how can we do it just a little bit better? And I think that bodes really well for having a great product and now a home that many of our residents here can really enjoy, not only the backyard that offers with the green space, but also the insides and all the features that have been installed. So really pleased, true professionals, great people to work with, and I think the focus again on the details and listening to the goals and requirements of the project, I think was really important. So yes, I'm very pleased with the Altius product.
And I also think that we're looking forward to the second phase with confidence that it's going to be a similar experience, and that we have expectations that will start this next spring. So it's been overall nothing but a good experience. And construction, it can be messy. We understood that going in, but they smoothed it over and made it easy for us while it may have been difficult for them.
So to add one more thing, and I think this is really important from not only the building standpoint, but the Altius team, and particularly the superintendent Tom and Brandon, had a big focus to ensuring that not only did the building go up right, but the city of Muskego was kept informed and or assured that the roads were going to be swept, that there wasn't going to be mud all over, and that the neighbors close by was also, ensured that they had someone to call if there were questions, and they had assurance that things were going to be kept tidy. So I think that was really important, the keeping the neighbors happy and keeping the city of Muskego, who's allowing us to build this building, insured.
They said what they were going to do, and they did what they were said.
Yep, exactly, Bill. Well said.
We're moving along pretty well. Early on, we did implement some modifications to make sure that everybody was protected. Wash stations, we washed all the surfaces down, try to keep and maintain distance from one another, kind of limiting into a room on opposite sides of the corridor as we were constructing.
Yeah, it was a learning process for everybody, because within the industry, no one had experienced a pandemic before. So we kind of implemented it in stages. Initially it was social distancing and just signage and kind of keeping people aware. Then we added wash stations for everyone to be safe so they could wash their hands. We added the requirement for masks. And if you didn't have a mask because it was early on and no one could get masks, we did actually implement a mask making station on the job site as well. So there wasn't anyone on site that could not have access to a mask because of the shortage of masks in the United States. With that, then, we also ran into the difficulties, as mentioned, with Gloria and Bill in regards to deliveries. We had our issue with our countertops from China, and we actually just skirted them out of Italy, a week before Italy shut down as well. In combination of that with the cabinets, as they mentioned, when U.S. manufacturing shut down, we had that to deal with as well. Further down the line, we also had the issue with manpower. We had several crews that actually contracted, COVID or had positive tests. So in one specific application, we ended up having to shut the project down for 5 days. We had a positive test. We sent everybody home. We let per the CDC guidelines, we let the site rest for 48 to 72 hours, and then we came through and sanitized the entire building as well before we let people back on.
As a matter of fact, yeah, we installed an iWave. Maybe you can speak.
Yeah, we did. So as part of the process and everybody learning what we did, the development, Gloria and Bill and the Wilrose family, or the Bassey family, they decided to implement an iWave system into the HVAC systems within each unit. So what that does is it's an ionizing type system that sanitizes the air as it comes out of the equipment, which filters out 98, I believe, 99% of viruses and germs and odors and all that. So it basically scrubs the air, as it's being pumped and recycled within the unit.
From a constructability standpoint, I've learned to actually work on the roads a little bit more, tracking pads. It was a wet site. Everybody had water this year, but the site was no different. It just seemed to be raining every other day, just to try and control the mud and erosion control as much as possible.
I think a lot of the other things that we learned, because we're an industry that we're always learning, we're always trying to improve systems and the way we do things. There were some difficult details on the building. It's a beautiful building. There's a lot of waterfall elements, a lot of ins and outs. So working with AG Architecture, on the second phase, we're dealing with some of those issues that Tom found in the field, where it didn't quite fit right together, or, things that we had to make changes on the fly. So we're incorporating those kind of details within the next phase of the project as well. For me, the project in general, I think it was. I would like to reiterate that it was a joint effort with all parties, with the Bassett family, with Altius, with AG Architecture. Communication was key, and as Gloria mentioned, she's not in town, but again, as she could always get a hold of us, we could always get a hold of her, and it was a great experience throughout the entire project.
I concur, as you took my answer as well. Working with the Basseys and Bill, Wonderful. AG has been great. What an awesome team we had. Couldn't be happier, seriously. It was a great project from beginning to end.